Hi everybody. Today I'm going to introduce something we call the Question Productivity Index, the QPI. It's a way to rate the productivity of the question that you ask, each question that you ask in your step-by-step attempt to get to your big goal. We use it on the natural next question. Now, we've been doing this for years, and in the first couple of years, we began to notice that some natural next questions were easier to answer or led more productively toward our big goal question than other ones did. And we began to wonder, are there things that we could actually measure about a question that would actually indicate how productive that question would be, and therefore really train us to ask better and better at questions? And we have in fact figured out a rubric, a way to measure the productivity of your question. So now that you've practiced asking natural next questions, you've done a couple of inquiry cycles, now we want to introduce this idea to you and see if you can even improve your questions the way they work. And so you'll be using this idea both on your own questions and also helping your peers with their questions. So let's talk about what goes into the Question Productivity Index. So each of you now has a big goal question. This is the thing you're trying to understand throughout all the work that you do in this course. Now imagine that the natural next question that you ask, the next one that you ask, is really like an arrow. It's supposed to take you one step closer to your big goal question. Well, what we figured out is that there are really three aspects of your natural next question that you can critique or score in a sense and see if you can make it better. One of them we call value. So the value is really what it sounds like. How valuable would answering this question be to getting toward your big goal question? You can kind of think of it as how directly toward your big goal question is your arrow facing? Is your arrow facing really right toward your goal question? There are so many questions that are curious and interesting and it'd be fascinating to answer them, but they don't have a high value for your goal. So that's the first part of the rubric you'll be scoring. The next part is scale. If you think of scale as how big a step are you taking? So is your question one step toward your goal, or is it really very big question and it would be much harder than what you could answer even partially in one inquiry cycle? So the scale is kind of a Goldilocks thing. Is it too small? You could really just Google it and get the answer. It's too small a question. Is it too big a question? It's really more like its own big goal question. Or is it kind of just right? It's just the amount of information that you could possibly gather by reading one important paper. And then the last part is articulation, which is kind of can think of it as, is it this question or this question or this question or this question? How much would everybody in your group understand your words in your question to mean the same thing? Is it articulated incredibly clearly so that everybody would understand it to be exactly that question? One example of a problem in articulation is the use of the word best. What does that mean? If your question was, what is the best kind of spacesuit? You can't really answer that, because what do you mean by best? Do you mean the one that's best at guarding from radiation? Do you mean the one that works most effectively for small people or for big people, or the one that's most comfortable to sleep in? So you're going to need to be more specific. So sometimes fixing articulation is just becoming more specific. So starting this week, we're going to start using the Question Productivity Index, and we're going to be assigning a score from 1 to 5 for each of these three categories of ways that you can think about the effectiveness of your question. Thank you.